I have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker. You may have heard from her already today. Her name is Deb Drummond. And a little bit more about Deb. She is the founder of the Women's Channel, which is a TV channel for women and cool dudes, just as she said. If you want to have your own show, reach out to her. She is an 11-time international best-selling author, a top performance private business coach for media and scaling, and a true believer in the power of spending time with good humans doing good things. Deb has dedicated her career to supporting entrepreneurs to being successful. Today, she's going to talk about the new era of many through the power of authentic TV. I have some questions I'm going to be asking her. And she has decided that her music that she's listening to lately is UB40. And one thing you may not know about Deb is that one of her first jobs when she was a teenager was flipping burgers at a bowling alley. Imagine that, a bowling alley. Okay. And she is graciously gifting to one person a speaker shout out on one of our upcoming summits. I have had those before. We're going to hear some today. That is an amazing value. And then her gift to everyone, so stay tuned, top tips to bundle on how to succeed in doing media, trade shows, sales, TV, and interviews. So welcome to the stage, Deb.
Well, thank you. So nice to be here. How can I help?
Yes. So we're going to talk about today. So, Deb, you clearly love what you do, and I know the mission behind the media company is very important to you. You're all about helping others and be successful in their brave. And that started in your early entrepreneurial days, in your 20s, just a few days ago. So how did this all start? If I recall, there was something about a mirror. Tell us about it.
The mirror story. I don't know if I've ever shared the mirror story. And it's really interesting. So my son who just joined us got to hear that I flip burgers in a bowling alley. I don't think he ever knew that about me. My first job. Captain George's, actually. So many of you know that I spent a lot of time in the music industry and I still love music. I do music for Amnesty International and I absolutely love that. And I'm highly addicted. I always say that I wouldn't go to a 12-step program for music if I was allowed to or there was one. But I did have a magical moment in the mirror one time. And so I was working in the field and, when you're working in music, you work really late at night. And came home from working with the band and the club and probably about, I don't know, 3, 4 in the morning, perfectly normal. You go out and you have dinner and you come home. And I should say I wasn't, I was perfectly sane. We weren't partying, we were working because literally I was just taking off my makeup at the end of the night and the mirror went pitch black, like pitch black. And I thought I'd gone instantly blind. And it was pretty scary. I could tap into that visceral experience. And it was a few days ago, like you said, Melissa. And I didn't see it coming. And I don't know how long the mirror was black, but it was long enough that I heard. Now I wasn't very spiritually in tuned at that time either. I was in tune, but not to that vibration. And I heard the words, "You're done." And the mirror came back. So I called the club the next day and said, "Replace me." They're like, "Are you sick? Like, what's going on?" I'm pretty loyal to a fault. And I said, "No, I'm just not coming back." And they're like, "What are you going to do?" And I'm like, "I don't know." They're like, "What are you going to do for money?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know." And so I didn't know, but I never went back. Now I still love music and do music, but I didn't really know what I was going to do or want to do. And so that was my first step into personal development. I think there was 2 personal development books on the shelf and I grabbed them both. And so I started to kind of go inward and I decided that what I wanted to do is to get a degree in women's studies and religious studies and go create economic platforms for women in third world countries. So I get myself there. I go to get myself registered for university. I get one class registered. And then I had this super cool wanted surprise. Well, that super cool want to surprise is my daughter. She's 10 years older than my son, and that changed the trajectory of me going to university. But I was pregnant and I was gluten-free, and there was one gluten-free restaurant in our city. And so we took the 40-minute drive to get the pregnant lady a muffin. And as I was walking out of the restaurant, there was a pink flyer. I didn't read it, I grabbed it. And I read it in the car, and it had something to do with holistic body work. And I was like, ooh, this could be cool. And I called the woman, and within a week, I was in her class. And within the second day, I grabbed my first piece of paper, my first business plan out of building 7 companies. And I literally put, how many massages could I do a week? What could I charge before the baby came? And that became my first business plan. And that was how I ventured into entrepreneurship. And I truly believe that what I do today and what I have done is I might not have gone to university, but I've created companies that have served global audiences to empower themselves. And so, interestingly enough, that's the mirror story.
I love that. And I love that you don't always have to go to university to learn stuff. You can learn along the way, and you did. One of the messages that I hear you say often, if Oprah's not coming to you, go to her. What do you mean?
Yeah, for those of you that, have said, man, I wish I could just get on Oprah or Tara Banks or Dr. Phil or, Drew or any of the shows that have heightened and be able to change people's lives. Like if I could just get my book into Oprah's book club, or I could do anything like that. It was always in a position of, we didn't know that we had the ability because we didn't really know that we had access, because we probably didn't at that time, to have that invitation. We also didn't probably know that there was pathways there, because it just wasn't built that way. And so my thing about is, if you've always wanted to be on Oprah, or you've always wanted to be here, or you've always wanted to be more in the limelight, then if she's not coming to you, go. Like, I'm giving you permission to go, because there are pathways to Oprah and anyone else's show that you want to be on. We now talk about having access. Like, TV is accessible. You are in an era that you can have your own show. You can be on other people's shows. You personally can have hundreds of millions of viewers. And I want to enlighten people, because you've probably heard it, but it doesn't wire. So I want you to just know that if you want to go to Oprah, if you want to go to that stage, if you want to be on that red carpet, that's why on the back of the jacket that Ocean did for us, at first it was going to be backstage pass. And I'm like, that's not right. People get a pass after they've been given access. And this whole summit is about accessibility. And all the work we have done collectively has been about giving people access. That's where we go, we bring our brothers and our sisters with us, right? So the back of the jacket says backstage access. And so I just want you to know it is accessible. You might have to go learn a few things, but go. It's there. Front row.
I love that. And speaking of going and having the access, so would you say that there's anything else keeping women from going in the TV direction?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot. I think there's a lot, because I get to have those private conversations. I mean, I have the best job in the world, and probably you all do too, because you do it. But I get to talk to women all day about that. And also, I will say, when it comes to TV, men as well. A lot of cool dudes. That's why our show hosts and supports both, because depending what generation you come from, TV was out there. Like, it was out there. Some people don't even remember having TV. Some people remember going to their grandparents' house and having to switch the green to the blue and all sorts of things. And TV's kind of been put over here for celebrities only. You had to earn your wings. Well, most of you have earned your wings in your career anyways. You just haven't realized that where you're sitting in your expertise took a few bruises. No different. But because I don't think that it was, offered in amongst all of the scrolls or the noise or the whatever you want to call it, the positive imagery, like all of the good and the interesting that happens in social, you don't see a lot of you too can have your own TV show. You're starting to, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But we're not neuronally wired for that. Success, yes. Six-figure, yes. Seven-figure, yes. Franchise, yes. Building a company, having teams. Sometimes people are just getting over the fact that they need a VA and they're finally going to like get some sleep from Joanne and go get a couple. You know what I mean? Like that's really where we are. But when I talk to women about TV, a lot of the times they'll do this. And they're not trying to get away from me because I have bad perfume on or something. They're trying to get away so their brain can actually digest. Because there's not any neuronal pathways that said, when I started my business with an 8.5 by 11 business plan, which 90% of the entrepreneurs that I know didn't start with a business plan. I know that you can, but it's true. And they didn't ever put TV there. When we did, so my son recently, launched his business, but we did his business plan when he was 15. And the lineup on his business plan, right, that was 7 years ago, included things like high-level marketing, included things like coaching, included things like networking clubs and business clubs and those kind of things. When we did my business plan, nope. We didn't even put a line in for a coach. We had to find that from the profit somewhere or put the cart before the horse and make it work. I mean, so I don't think that we were wired for it. And so because we don't understand it, right, then it's hard to articulate. And as solopreneurs, strong solopreneurs that got it, when they don't understand anything, they tend to go left. Like they tend to go left. It's like, and it seems so vast. Oh my gosh, I need to know how TV works. And I don't know. And they're saying this thing about production and fast channels. And the whole thing is that they don't realize that they're not supposed to know. If we said you need to go learn a new kind of math, they'd be like, okay, I get that. I understand a little bit of math. I just need to go learn something different. So I want people to look at TV as just another form of marketing. It is a powerful one-to-many, but most of the speakers are speaking here because they want one-to-many. Most of you are going on podcasts because you want one-to-many. Most of you love to get invited to be a TV interviewee. You're like, ooh, that feels good. I want you to consider rotating it. The other thing that people think is that they think it's too expensive because TV has always been outside. It's always been celebrity-ish. It's always been over here. I don't have a dress to wear, that kind of stuff. And I want to tell you that TV shows are actually one of the most powerful revenue generating things that you can do for your business. The other thing that it does is it stops the massive time factor. I'll talk about that in a minute about going inbound to outbound. So when you have your own TV show, watch how much less you're doing posting in your marketing. Watch how much less you're doing revenue generation or revenue extending in your marketing. Because when you're an executive producer, or you have your own show, or you've got something attached to a show, or what have you, people call you. And that I can give you a promise on because we experience it every day. And so the door starts to come inside instead of outside. Okay, I ranted a little bit, a little soapboxy, but if you know me, that's
Little soapbox. Okay, so let's elaborate a little bit about the time issue because you want to push women and men who support women into getting their TV show, but they say, I don't have time. And so let's talk about that outbound turning into the quick inbound a little bit
yeah.
more in depth with the time.
Time's always a condition, that exists that people understand and honor as a powerful commodity. We have all come to that place where time is precious. We know that, and I don't think anyone knows that as much as entrepreneurs that are professional jugglers. I mean, we're professional jugglers, right? That's the truth. And so when you think about taking on something that's big, you automatically think it's going to take a lot of time. But that's not necessarily the truth. And so one of the things that I just finished talking about in terms of how much time are you in your outbound lead generation, doing your social, sending out your content, writing that article for the magazine or whatever, you're outbound. When you go to a TV show and you're marketing your TV show, it goes to a different place in the brain and people start coming inbound. So you're saving a lot of time in that ratio. And in terms of the time where we talked about expense, I want to just bring this to the forefront. I don't want it to sound like a sales pitch, and if it does, it's not. I want you to understand that when you are in business for yourself, when you want to be a, executive producer or what have you, from a fiscal standpoint, we have multiple revenue streams in amongst what we do. Most of us are entrepreneur plus or ultrapreneur, do your thing, whatever it is that you're doing. Most of you do funnels or divisions, or you speak or you book or you what have you. When it comes to TV, I'm going to use podcasts as an example. And before all of you that have a podcast go, don't touch my podcast, you know what I mean? Please, I have one too. I love podcasts. They have different places in the world, and they have very much the same place in the world. It's talking to people. So put podcast here. I'm going to use it as an example. Don't get mad at me. Podcast here, TV here. Now, a lot of people create podcasts to bring inbound, to have conversations with people, to create media that they can go and see. Most people that don't have a podcast have no idea how much work that takes, have no idea how much time that takes. And there's two things that are common as a problem in podcast world. Again, I love you, don't get mad at me, but two of them is that very few of them can be turned into revenue streams, because you have to have two things. You have to have value of audience. So how big is your listenership? Do you know how long it takes to build a listenership? A while. So to be able to charge people money to come onto your podcast or get to a sponsor place, you're going to have to build that podcast for a while. Now, Joanne can tell you the first time I met her and she didn't have, her podcast is amazing and she didn't have a Patreon. I nagged that woman till she wanted to shut me up, and she put on a donation button on her podcast because it is value. You are valuable, charge on your podcast if you don't ever hear anything else. So there's the podcast model. It doesn't revenue generate as much in terms of revenue, but it does all sorts of good things in the world. Okay, now take it to a TV. You have a podcast, you can have a TV. You can have a TV without a podcast. What's the difference about TV? So TV is, yes, you purchase a TV package. We build a package. It's 1 hour every week for 20 weeks. You have an hour to change your life. So you could even like jog at the same time if you want to, or exercise, do your thing, go for a walk. So when you have a TV show, you're getting 12 channels, you're getting 12 episodes to start. Those 12 episodes become revenue streams. Now, you charge people to sit. How can you charge people to sit on your TV show when you can't charge them on your podcast? Because the channel, which is us, and the network, and this works for everybody, is taking care of your audience. So when you're streaming to Amazon TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, or wherever you're streaming to, now you've got hundreds of millions. So you can check off having to build an audience because it's done for you. The second thing that's done for you is high-level marketing. So the people that come to sit in your television show are paying you. And when people ask, there's people that are paying anywhere from $800 to $2,400 to sit there. Why? Because they get to gather all of that audience, they get together all of the media badges, and it's so much easier to go and sit on someone else's show, maybe they think, than making their own show. Not everybody wants to have a TV show, but they want the numbers of a TV show. So now you're revenue generating. You are revenue generating more than likely more than what the show costs you. You're having inbound experiences because everyone wants to talk to an executive producer. And if you don't believe me, go to your next networking group and say, I'm thinking of becoming an exec producer of my own TV show, and watch how many people contact you. And so because I really respect the value of time and economics, and I think that they interplay in a very big way, for me, it's a big step of empowerment that women need to start to explore. They need to start to explore because, as we talked about it, and I think I talked about it with Wendy on her stage, is that in 5 to 8 years, watch. Does anyone remember when podcasts first came out? Like, am I the only person here that's not 22? Okay, so when they first came out, it's kind of funky, right? You're like, ooh, podcast. And when someone asked you to be on a podcast, you were like, oh my gosh. And like, you took extra care and you wrote your notes and you really prepared. Now if someone's going to call you tomorrow and you're like, yeah, I got it. You know what I mean? Because where we are, there's 4.5 to 5 million podcasts in the world and 100 million podcasts downloaded every single day. Now, outside of my world in the summits and all of that stuff, I'm a top performance trainer and have built 7 international companies. My forte has been differentiation, right? There's different things about this summit that maybe you've not seen before. Like, you speak today here, you're going to get on TV. Okay, there's another way to get on TV. But the part that I want to really heighten to you is you have a window right now. Like you have a window. You're in digital anyway. So even if you had a podcast, you can flip it over to a TV show, keep your podcast. But in 5 to 8 years, positive infotainment, you're going to see it everywhere. And you can give thanks. By the way, positive infotainment isn't new. Has anyone been on a food channel? Been on a food channel? Have you watched home renovations? Did you watch Survivor? I think it's still going. I wasn't one of the club, but you know what I mean? Those were the breaking grounds that podcasts were years ago, showing proof that people want to watch other people having experiences. And the world of positive infotainment is through the roof. I can almost guarantee 90% of the people listening to me right now listen to something positive before they came on today. You watch your YouTube, you listen to music. I mean, goodness knows, I was listening to Rise Up, with Parachute Club and all that stuff. So we listen to positive infotainment. And the beautiful thing about the difference between watching something on YouTube that you need to learn about being successful and watching a positive infotainment TV show is that neuronally we've been wired that the word tainment says chill out. I'm going to watch TV. And so the receptivity and the fun that people have watching something that changes their life, the ratio and the stats go up. So it's that kind of top performance thought process that gains you about 80% more income than any podcast could. And I love podcasts. I got to say that people podcast, but I love my podcast. Keep it. I got one. Let's pod swap, Does that answer your question without going on a rant? I'm ranting today.
That answered my question, and actually, we're a little bit out of time now. So I love all the stuff that you gave to us. Deb has given us so much information, and reach out to her if you want to have your own TV show, if you're interested more about learning about media, if you want to be in that positive infotainment section, like me on my TV show, you can reach out to Deb and get your own TV show.